welcome to Little Learners. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about timeouts. I made a video about timeouts quite some time ago on this channel, and I actually unlisted the video some months ago because since making that video, my opinions and my experience of timeouts has changed. I did feel like it was time to make a new video. I was wrong about timeouts. Before we get started, don't forget to click that like button if you do find this video helpful at any point, and do click the subscribe button to join the Little Learners family. So, timeouts. When I talk about timeouts, I am talking about a method of discipline where if a child has done something that indicates misbehaviour or undesirable behaviour, then they are put in a timeout, which is a form of isolation. So they may be given a warning first, and then if they do that thing again, then they are put in a timeout. A timeout is usually on a particular step on your stairs or a particular area of your house, and a child has to sit there for a certain amount of time. They're not allowed to move, get up, they're not supposed to be talking or playing or anything like that. They're just supposed to sit there for that amount of time, and then you come back to them at the end of the amount of time, you explain to them why they were put in timeout and ask if there's anything they want to say. They give an apology, you give a hug and kiss, and then it's done. So that is kind of the idea of a timeout. It is done differently by different parents and practitioners, and it's been done differently over time. It certainly didn't start off with a hug and kiss at the end when it became popular in the 1960s. Timeouts became popular because before timeouts, one of the main methods of discipline was spanking or hitting or smacking. And of course, physical discipline is not something that is going to be helpful for children, and we now know, although it's crazy to think that we didn't know at some point, that this is extremely detrimental to the mental health of children and to their overall well-being. So in the 1960s, the timeout became popular because this was a way to still discipline your child and give them a consequence without having to resort to physical punishment. And I use the word punishment because this is still punishment. Within discipline, we have lots of different ways of disciplining, helping children manage their behaviour. But timeouts, much like other versions of discipline, is in effect a punishment. There is something that the child has done, and they are given this isolation as a punishment. Now, timeouts can certainly get results. I have seen it myself. I've used timeouts myself very effectively, and children do apologise at the end. And you may see short-term results as well because they don't want to end up in that timeout again. However, as I have grown as a practitioner, as I have learnt more, as I have become more experienced, I have realised that just because it gets you some results doesn't mean that it's the best thing for the child. So a child may not display that behaviour again because they don't want to end up in timeout, but that's not why we don't want them to display that behaviour. And I know a lot of people will say, well, the ends justifies the means, and as long as they're not doing the behaviour, the action, then it doesn't matter why they're not doing it. But I strongly disagree. So if a child learns that if they throw a toy, they will be in timeout, then they don't throw that toy because they don't want to be in timeout. They don't learn why they're not supposed to throw that toy. They don't not throw that toy because they have decided to regulate their own emotions, and therefore eventually they will probably throw that toy again. So what do? I'm not saying that timeouts never work, and I'm not saying that timeouts are always a really cruel method of punishment, but what I am saying is that there are certainly better ways that we can help children to manage their emotions, their feelings, and regulate their own behaviour. So when putting a child in a timeout, the idea is that they're supposed to sit and think about what they've done. And I would like to put to any adult who has ever been told to sit and think about what they've done as a child, did you actually sit and think about what you've done? Because I don't think most children do. They will sit and be cross that they've been put in timeout. They might think about how sad they are or what they can do to make their caregiver like them again, because that is often the case. They feel like their caregiver doesn't like them now. They may try and think about ways that they can do that thing again but not get caught next time, so they don't have to be in a timeout. These are not the skills that we want to be teaching children. So while a timeout can be effective if a child really needs that time to reset and regulate their own emotions, it's not the only way. So if a child has, for example, thrown this toy they're not supposed to, and they are getting very worked up about something, you may say to them, do you think you need some time out just to sit and chill out, just to sit and relax for a moment? Because there is absolutely no point in trying to discipline a child when they are in a heightened emotional state. It just won't work. If they are really angry, if they're screaming, if they're crying, you're not going to be able to reason with them. You're not going to be able to talk to them and help them to regulate their emotions. You're not going to be able to co-regulate, which means that you're helping them to regulate their emotions. And that is how they eventually learn to regulate them themselves. So a child may need some quiet time for a moment, and when they've calmed down, then you can talk to each other about what is going on, why this isn't okay, what the consequence is going to be. And I want to make it very clear that just because I'm saying that punishments aren't the best route of discipline, I'm not saying that there should be no consequences. So if you're throwing a toy and you keep being told not to throw that toy, the consequence may be that that toy goes away until tomorrow. Or the consequence may be that that toy broke and now you don't have it anymore, or you have to try and fix it. Those are natural linked consequences. A timeout or another type of punishment is not linked to that behaviour, and so it's not as effective. Children need to learn cause and effect. They need to learn that if I do this thing will happen, and that will help them to make better informed choices later. So you may want to offer a child some quiet time. They may want a bit of a time out just to reset. Or you may want to offer them a time in. A time in is basically the opposite of a time out. So rather than going away and being on their own, they need you, they need connection. So for example, if a child is really, really worked up because they can't have the snack that they want and they are really throwing an absolute tantrum, the time out is probably not going to be that helpful for them because they are in such a heightened emotional state. They need that co-regulation to help them calm down first. So you might say, do you need a time in? Do you want a cuddle? Do you want me to hold your hand? Do you want to do some breathing together? Let's do a big breathe. And helping them to co-regulate, to calm them down. Isolation is certainly not the only way that someone can calm down, right? They need support. And so particularly when a child is a bit older, you might say to them, do you want a time out or a time in before we talk about all of this? And then once the child has calmed down, that's when you can explain what happened, why this isn't appropriate, what the consequence is going to be. Natural linked consequences. And you will probably find that a child starts to notice what those natural consequences are and can actually tell you what that consequence is going to be. So maybe a child has been running around with paint and you've told them not to run with the paint, and then the paint has spilt all over the floor. The natural consequence of that is that they need to clean it up. And so we are teaching them through co-regulation, responsibility, the ability to manage their own emotions and to regulate their emotions and behaviour, and also to communicate and know that when you are feeling a really big feeling like anger or sadness or frustration, you don't have to deal with it alone. I could probably talk about this all day long, but I hope that I have given you some reasons as to why I feel that timeouts are not the amazing strategy that they were once thought to be, and that I was taught that they were, and that it is okay to revise your own practice, to change what you think about things as you learn more, and to be okay with knowing that there might be a better alternatives to something that you're already doing. And just because we've been doing something for a long time doesn't mean that it's the best thing or that we can't change it. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I really want to know what you think about this. Also, if you made it to the end of this video, then please write the word happy in the comment section, because I like to know how many people got to the end of the video. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a like, as it really helps out the channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, do click the subscribe button to join us in the Little Learners family, and click the bell icon so you get a notification each time I post a new video. I often do premieres for my video, which means that when it goes live for the first playthrough, I'm in the live chat. So if you have the bell icon selected, then you'll get a notification when that's about to go live, and you can join us for the premiere and have a bit of a chat as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.